The Secrets of Stargate is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. Hello, Secrets of Stargate listeners. This is Dom Bettinelli, CEO of StarQuest. Due to an unexpected personal situation for one of our hosts, Jack Baruzzini, we're unable to bring you our planned and pre-recorded Secrets of Stargate episode number 67 on SG-1's upgrades this week. Instead, we have for you number 68 on the next episode, Crossroads, and we'll bring you number 67 when we're able. We thank you for understanding and for your prayers for Jack. I know those would be most appreciated. Thank you.
Janet West, Jackson has identified the seventh symbol.
All right, here we go. We are about to try to make a connection.
All we gotta do is bust out of here, commandeer the ship, and fly on home.
Indeed. You say that a lot.
I know that this could be dangerous. But this is our job, right? It's what we signed on to do.
It was never about going home. It's about getting us to where we're going.
Hi, I'm Jack Baruzzini, and you're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, where I talk about the hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, TV series, and more. And joining me today are Father Cory Sticha. Hi, Father.
Howdy, Jack.
And Lisa Jones. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Jack.
And Victor Lambs. Hey, Victor.
Hi, Jack.
I'm going to take this moment to remind everyone that you can get some awesome SQPN merch at sqpn.com/merch. They got stickers, t-shirts, mugs, all sorts of awesome stuff. So be sure to check that out. Today we're discussing
our teenage son is wearing one of those shirts, actually.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. He's been wearing the same shirt for the past 2 weeks, though. So not quite so, yeah.
Sounds like a teenager.
They are machine washable too. So
yeah, that's good to know.
Today we're discussing the third episode of season 4, Crossroads. The SGC is visited by Shantak, an old friend and old flame of Teal'c's. She tells them that she has discovered how to communicate with her larval Goa'uld and promises to reveal all the information it knows about the Goa'uld. While initially doubtful of her claims, Teal'c is able to begin communicating with his Goa'uld and receives visions of his father, who was killed by Kronos. As Shantak Goa'uld matures, she is weakened until the mature Goa'uld is placed in a new host, Hebron, and a larval Goa'uld is placed into Shantak so she can heal. Shantak visits Hebron and her old Goa'uld, named Tanith, and he reveals that he is not actually defected to the Tok'ra before killing Shantak. Teal'c discovers this and wants to hunt down Tanith, but the Tok'ra reveal that they expected this outcome all along and would allow Tanith to believe that he has infiltrated their ranks, further proving how untrustworthy the Tok'ra are. So, more Tok'ra shenanigans.
That's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this episode, Father?
Well, it's one of those that's kind of hard to say because it's kind of a slow episode. It really doesn't move very fast, and there's not really any kind of action. But it's a very important episode for the lore of Stargate SG-1, the overarching plot line of Stargate SG-1, because this moves into things going on to further seasons. So it is a good episode. I mean, there's lots of good character moments and stuff like that, but it really isn't an exciting, fun episode. It's kind of dry. But that doesn't mean it's not good. It's just dry.
Yeah, definitely. It had a lot of it felt just more like an information dump episode to set up further plot points more than a story unto itself. What about you, Lisa?
This is one that I don't frequently go back and watch. So it was kind of interesting to see it again after all these years because it's not one that I watch a lot. It's good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not one of my favorites, but I do appreciate the Teal'c getting an episode. So we got to see a little bit more about his character and his background, and he got a love interest. That was always a plus, even though she didn't make it. And I did hate that they mentioned Braytech several times and we didn't get to see him because I really just love Braytech. So yeah, and then the Tok'ra being the Tok'ra. So we get a lot of Anise Freya right here up front in season 4, and this we did get a lot of her. So
yeah. What about you? Yeah. What about you, Victor?
Yeah, I mean, this is not an episode I had remembered seeing because I think when I get to season 4, I'm like submarine replicators, like Odo is a Nazi, and then let's get to Window of Opportunity, and I skip over some of these episodes.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is your typical kind of cat power episode where a lot of talkie, like they bring in, they try to build up this mythology. It kind of pays off later. It really doesn't. And then, the love interest for Teal, they do that whole refrigerator thing, the whole comics cliche where they kill off the love interest just to make the male character more angry and give him a reason for wanting vengeance and stuff. So yeah, there was really no justice for Shanok in this episode.
No.
Yeah, and I like that it's a Teal'c heavy episode, but yeah, and we get more Tok'ra, which the more we see of them, the less I like them. And I also feel a bit underwhelmed by the Goa'uld now as a villain after having seen the Replicators, which just seem much more interesting to me and much more intimidating. So I'm
Mhm.
hoping that we don't get a ton more Goa'uld as the main villains throughout this season, but we'll just
Yeah.
see.
We'll get more eventually.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So I gotta-
seasons
They're
4,
not gone
5,
yet.
6, 7, and 8. Yep.
Yeah, you still got a couple more seasons.
Yeah.
Mm.
But the replicators are a little more interesting as a villain. That's very
Mhm.
true.
Yep.
And they do grow. We see them. They take on a life of their own. We'll say.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely more interested in that at this point. Although I would like to see, and I don't know, having not seen the rest of the show yet, I almost feel like there's going to be a point where the Tok'ra and the SGC are at odds with each other to the point where they are now villains too. But I don't know if that's something that will really
Mm.
fully play out or not.
Not so much. That would have been cool, but not so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They're not exactly
Yeah.
best buddies, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do get to see Jacob Carter. I mean, we see him as Tok'ra more and more than we see the rest of them. And I liked in this episode, Sam says, "What would my father think?" And they're all like, "Oh, if he was around again, like the last episode, like if he was
Yep.
here, oh yes, he's right with us."
Hmm.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like these last 2 episodes, if Jacob Carter had been there, they would have been resolved pretty quickly. Selmac would have said, tell the humans everything. And then each episode would have been wrapped up in about 25 minutes.
yeah.
But it's oh,
Yeah.
your dad's not here, so you have to trust what we say.
Yeah, we're gonna
And
keep him
it's
busy.
funny, this coming right on the heels of last week's episode where they were used as guinea pigs by
Mhm.
Freya and Anise, where they should not trust a single thing that she says at this point.
And we
Yeah.
we actually get a really good line from Jack. It's I want to talk to Freya, and Anise is why? And he's because I like Freya. It's
Yeah.
I don't like you.
Mhm.
Let me talk to
Yeah.
the host.
She's nice. You're
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, I could.
And then she's like, "We agree."
Yeah,
Well, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I love that. It's
completely
always
agree with
take-
everything Anise is saying at this moment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's you'll have to take my word for it, or don't you take my word for it? It's no, we don't.
Yeah.
We need to have proof.
Why can't she speak now? She's, y'all share the body, but for some reason, when you say y'all agree, but she's not popping in to say she agrees. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And it really seems like the power dynamic there between the host and the Goa'uld is way skewed, where the Goa'uld is in charge and they will sometimes let the host talk when they want. There's no real, it's not a partnership. It's the person
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
held hostage essentially.
So we learned from that whole Chlorel thing, when they did the trial on the Tolan world, it's yeah, being a host when you're an unwilling host to a Goa'uld is a living hell. It's you're assaulted mentally, physically every day, every minute of every day. And then when we get to the end of this episode, it's well, what about the host that Tanith is in? It's well, he knew the risks. It's he didn't assume
Yeah.
that he was going to be mentally and physically violated every second of every
Yeah.
day for the rest of his life until we eventually kill him because he's no longer useful to us.
Yeah.
Which kind of, I think, I mean, at this point, to me, the Tolan, or not Tolan, the Tok'ra are irredeemable. they're not
Mhm.
irredeemable to the show, to the people writing the show, but they're like, oh yeah, the host, he was cool with it. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
no, you don't understand. I mean,
This is the enemy that you have sworn to wipe out to every last single one of them, commit literal genocide against. Oh, but we'll let one of these willing hosts that could have been a Tok'ra host willingly.
that's what I thought he was signing up for. Yeah.
And as soon as they realized, no, this really wasn't going to happen. And did they tell him, did they tell him about as much about his chances as they did the Earthlings?
Yeah.
Probably not,
No, definitely
They probably
not.
said, oh, yeah, it'll be fine. You can trust us.
Yeah.
We'll help you fight the Goa'uld. Oh, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah. We've told you everything you need to know. That's it.
And meanwhile, the host is like, yeah, the Goa'uld, yeah, they completely decimated my planet. They enslaved all my people for like hundreds, thousands of years. It's like, gosh, if I ever meet one of those guys, like that would be horrible. Yeah. I'm glad that you guys are fighting those guys, but yeah, I'm sure glad I'll never have one of those guys in my head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We realize that Tok'ra's morals, values, and integrity might be a little questionable.
Lacking?
Yeah. Yeah. They might be a little
Non-existent.
closer cousins to the
Yeah.
Goa'uld than. Remember how we keep saying like they're same but not? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm with you, Jack. Like I never thought of this, like the decades I've been a Stargate fan, I've never thought of this before. But yeah, the Tok'ra really are. They should have become like the big bad of a season. Like season 9 should have been about like wiping out the Tok'ra after they've wiped out the Goa'uld. That would have made, instead of
Right.
the Ori, just like that
Ori.
would have been like the Joss Whedon-esque turn that would have like made the show so much better in seasons 9 and 10. I'm going on record as saying like the Tok'ra are evil.
Yeah, because at this point, like they're completely just the ends justify the means. They're willing to use
Yeah.
humans as guinea
Mhm.
pigs for the technology, and they don't treat their hosts the same at all. So they're not different from the Goa'uld at all, except that they want to defeat the Goa'uld. But I would have no confidence that if they did and they became the ones in power, that they wouldn't just be like the Goa'uld.
And we talked about that last week. Power corrupts.
Yeah.
And so who's to say if they had those armbands or they got control over the Goa'uld that they would be any better?
Yeah, think about it. They never even, again, going back to last week, they never even mentioned to the humans the existence of the armbands until they realized, oh, it doesn't work on us.
Right.
Yeah. So everything I know is wrong. This is a moment for me here.
Uh-oh.
The Tok'ra are not the benevolent aliens we thought they were.
Nope.
Well, that's one great thing about Stargate is, yeah, they're the allies of the humans, but barely. And the humans are expected to add more to their arrangement than the Tok'ra are, and the Tok'ra decide when they do that. So, kind of going back to the symbiote having more control than the host.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
It's
it's
more like when the U.S. was allied with Soviet Russia during World War II, just out of convenience, not out of an actual alignment of values.
mhm.
I
We
saw how well
contrast
that worked.
we contrast that with the Asgard, who are allies. They don't really want to share everything. They don't really have time for us, but we don't doubt that they'll step up when they need to.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they don't always, help us out.
I
Immensely.
like something I like about Stargate that it does differently from Star Trek is that each species seems to have their own moral code that does not align with humanity's all the time, and that's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's just they're a different species, so they're psychologically different. And I like that we see that coming into play because the humans are not the ones running the show. They have to navigate that, and I like that dimensionality that it adds.
But I also like the fact that the humans aren't being required to ignore their own moral code like you see so
Mhm.
often, and of course, Jack O'Neill, contrary to the first season, Jack O'Neill is more outspoken about issues like this than Daniel is. Daniel is not the conscience of the team. He's more than happy to deny that too. But but no, I mean, the Jack O'Neill's when you say, no, I'm not going to do this.
Mhm.
This is not going to happen. You're not, you can't make me.
Mhm.
So in this episode, we get introduced to a character, and she is killed off, like just to make Teal'c mad. Basically, Shonak. And And there's a lot we could say about her, not just her choice of like wardrobe, where she has like this amazing fabric where like a Goa'uld symbiote can totally pierce through it and rip it. And then the second the Goa'uld goes back into her stomach, the fabric is like intact. So
Awesome.
I think that that's probably a technology that Earth people, but um yeah, so it we haven't seen her before, but she obviously has a history with Teal'c. And I know they need to make him move on from, and I forget his wife's
Drayak.
name, Drayak, yeah. And so it's like, well, we could have been something, but you went into the temple of the Goa'uld. And she's like, no, but see, I was talking to the Goa'uld, and at first the Goa'uld was mean to me, but then it started showing me like nice things, and I thought I could. And so this is kind of cool because throughout the episode, you're wondering, can the Goa'uld, the symbiote larva inside the larval Goa'uld inside the Jaffa pouch, can they
Pouch.
be redeemed? And this could be like potentially huge for the show. Like if all Jaffa just started saying like, listen to what the flower people say, Goa'uld, and
Yeah.
be nice, like that could end the Goa'uld like overnight. And then we learn that no, all Goa'uld really are evil. And it's kind of like a revelation too when we learn that like Junior, who has like healed Teal'c like a bazillion times, actually hates him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think they deal
Can't
with
do
that
anything
enough.
about
And it's
it.
just, oh yeah, my immune system like totally hates me and wants to see me like dead.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
he can't do anything about it
Yeah.
right now because he's too young.
Well,
Yep.
it is interesting. We've seen Daniel watch his parents get crushed by the big styrofoam, thingies.
Yeah.
And in this
Drake.
one, we get to watch Teal'c's dad die multiple times at the hand of Kronos. And it's just, I don't know, is this like a Disney show where all the parents have to die? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it actually ties into
Yeah.
the plot, so I'll
Yes.
give them like points for that.
Yes.
Well, we know Sam Carter's dad's alive,
That's-
so
but her
that's
mom's
a good
dead.
thing.
Yeah.
But is he really alive if he has to have a Goa'uld inside him?
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't touch on that when Shinnok dies because, Tanith the Goa'uld kills her and says like, you had the audacity to try and tell me about like being a good Goa'uld. And so he kills her in the same way that Teal'c's dad is killed, where they reach into the symbiote pouch, kill the symbiote, and then the blood of the symbiote is apparently toxic to humans because it mixes with them.
Mhm.
They do not communicate that is how Shinnok died until Teal'c sees it in his vision. So they don't
Mhm.
like have Dr. Fraser say, well, this is weird. The symbiote blood mixed with her blood. And so they don't set that up. There may have been a deleted scene or something, but it's a good like resolution. It's like, wow, like my symbiote hates me and just was showing me this vision because it hated me. But I was able to piece together that, Tanith is actually a Goa'uld spy.
Yeah. It also makes me think that all the Jaffa need to wear some sort of like waist wrap that prevents that because pretty big vulnerability.
Yeah, with a little lock on it or something.
Yeah.
Prevents Goa'uld
Weird.
incursions and monkeypox. Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. I do like at the beginning when Shantok comes through, she refers to Jack as Teal'c's apprentice.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yep. That's what
That was
Braytag
good.
told her.
hmm
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we see that carried over throughout the episode in some funny ways.
Yeah, it was Master Teal'c.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were a few little nice quips there in the beginning, like when she comes through and puts her the cloak thing down. And, of course, Jack is like, oh, Master Braytech, you've done something different with your hair.
Yeah.
Lots of little nice quips from Jack and this one. So, and of course, Teal'c in his, I like that Jack was trying to give Shinnok the benefit of the doubt and be polite and nice. And Teal'c's over there just like, no. He's just cutting her off and being so short and rude and definitely issues with them.
Well, there are a couple of times where Jack goes, well, what Teal'c's really trying to say?
Yeah.
No, I said exactly what I meant.
Yeah, there is good symmetry on that actually, where Teal'c, at the beginning we see that, and then at the end where Teal'c is getting ready to leave the SGC completely, and Jack's like, "Oh, you just mean a leave of absence?" He's like, "No, I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. Teal'c is faithful 100%." Yeah, I don't know that this episode actually like works. I mean, it's kind of one of those like the last episode where like you go 30 minutes into the episode and you're like, okay, we're still at the base, whatever. And then like 30 minutes in it, like suddenly we're on the Tok'ra world, right? Just like last episode's like 30 minutes in, we're on like Apophyse's super battle station world. I don't know.
Yeah, it is the plot structuring is pretty clunky and it doesn't flow well, which makes it kind of hard to really follow. Like it just feels like a bunch of things happen, but they don't organically lead into one another.
And it's another one where like the humans like piece this stuff together and they go back to the Tok'ra. It's like, yeah, we kind of knew that, but we're using this guy.
Right.
And it's kind of like, having a lit stick of dynamite, under your pillow. Yeah, I don't know that this is the best strategy where you have an actual Goa'uld like in your base and you don't think that he's smart enough to figure out that you figured out that he's a Goa'uld.
Yeah.
He knows that you know, and you know that he knows that you know, and
Yeah.
all that.
Right.
Especially since Teal'c does the whole like face pulsy thing at him at the end. It's like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah. I will see you again. You can count on that,
Yeah. I'm totally not going to rip your face off right now because I've been told not to. Yeah.
Well, I do love that the moment the Tanith gets his, I forget what his original name was, gets his Goa'uld, and they're like, okay, spill the beans, and the Tok'ra are like, no, not right now. Like you're gonna have to wait. Well, wait a minute, we brought him to you. Like this is, and they're like, yeah, well, no.
Yeah, he's ours. So,
Right.
yeah, no.
Tok'ra boned us again.
Yeah.
And it just feels like they would be withholding even if they did get the information.
Yeah. You can't trust that they would tell you what was really going on. Just like last week with the whole, oh, I didn't know that there was a thing and that we needed the armbands for them to superhero their way through this. Oh, no. Nobody had any idea. It just happened right now.
Totally did not know about the big massive spaceship that was being built that I found out before I even came to your planet. Totally didn't know about it.
Yeah. And this also means because if I'm remembering correctly, the host now knows that Kenneth is not to be trusted, which means he can never be allowed to say anything again.
At which point do you not send for the Tolans and get one of those cool vests?
Right.
Yeah. And just say, hey, I have doubts about this. I want to talk to the Tolan. Let's get a vest in here. And the Tok'ra say, no need to do that. Like,
We're good.
Yeah, I feel like the Tolan, well, I mean, their whole issue is they're isolationist, but their technology would kind of mitigate this entire episode. Just put that on the guy, and then you can get whatever information you need.
Yeah, just take him for a little short trip through the Stargate. Just go to visit another planet, and as soon as he walks through the gates, slap it on him.
That if I remember, the Tolan weren't about forcing him to talk, right? They gave him the opportunity, but they're like, respect that he's an individual. So, well,
yeah, they are insufferable that way.
Yeah. Those darn
we do
rights.
learn something very interesting about the Tolans, like origins, though, that they are all descended from a single queen, Queen Egeria.
Tok'ra's origins.
The Tok'ra, sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the Tok'ra. Tolans we don't know much about, but yeah, and so we get an actual literally moment from Carter in this where he's like, they spawned your race, like literally. And it'll be another couple seasons before we meet Egeria, but we eventually do meet the queen that spawned all the Tok'ra. But it kind of sets up like how the Goa'uld can, they address this early on. It's like, if the Goa'uld have a genetic memory, like why do we need a Goa'uld to know what their plans are? Because we have these Tok'ra, right? And they would know everything, but they haven't recruited, like they don't have a very strong recruitment,
Only said it's been 2,000 years since the Tok'ra split away, so.
Yeah, they're a little
So
behind.
they don't have the same
I like Jack's
lineage
reaction,
at
though.
this
I didn't
point,
need that image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good. Yeah, this episode does give you some background. It gives you some, this tangent of going forward now that they've got Tanith and, he's a whatever, he doesn't know that they know that he's, So it does set up going forward. It's just, I wish had been a little more interesting.
Yeah. We get some cool costumes. I mean, Anissa's like, the bodice is like stitched at like this weird angle. It looks like, I don't know, like Leatherface like stitched it up. I don't know. It's weird.
Kind of made me think of like a costume class in high school. Like the teenagers were all like, let's do this.
I always feel sorry for the Tok'ra women because they always have the weirdest outfits.
Yeah.
Yeah, the men are all like dressed in like the exact same thing. So it's such that you can like put Peter DeLuise in a Tok'ra outfit as we saw in this episode. And nobody notices, but like the women, it's like, we get like Anise and Shannon, and it's like, the like dueling bodices at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think
like leftovers from like the Xena show or something.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that we read somewhere, or we talked about it at one point, that season 4, they really were trying to compete, with some of the more engaging female counterparts on other shows. So trying to, obviously Carter doesn't get to dress in revealing bodices, but
not since Emancipation.
Yeah.
So they're trying to pull a 7 of 9, you're saying?
Yes. They're trying to compete with that, aspect, kind of get the male viewer in that way. Yeah. It only lasts this season. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it's really only this season. So I guess it either
this is the worst of it. 'Cause it's something that's been there kind of throughout.
Yeah.
Something that's been there kind of throughout, especially like I said with the Tok'ra. But
it's more obvious, I feel like, this season.
I mean, casting Vanessa Angel, that definitely was not to get men to watch.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You mean the previous head of the Tok'ra wasn't to get men to watch?
That's the funny part.
I can't
Old
remember her
Selmac
name.
or what?
No, the original. The
first one.
Yeah, the curly hair brunette, long dark hair. I can't remember her name.
Oh,
yeah.
She was
the first good-looking Tok'ra we saw.
Right. Wasn't
I
quite
don't know.
this
I feel like we need to kind of I need to put in a plug for like Musetta Vander at this point. I don't want her contributions to go unnoticed.
True.
Is that the
Shannon?
Shannon.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, I looked at her IMDb, and she's been in a lot of just one-off stuff, and but she was in music videos at the beginning of her career.
Oh, and she was one of the sirens in "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" The Coen Brothers film.
Yeah.
Oh,
one of the women by the
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it was kind of neat
Go
to
to sleep, little darling.
go through and look at her what she's been in.
Yeah, she did a lot of like sci-fi shows around this time. I think she was on Buffy and Voyager and different things like that.
I think she even made an
So
appearance.
it sounds like she was on the Vancouver cycle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh no way! She was Natalie French
Which
What
show?
Okay.
on Buffy. Yeah, sorry,
Oh.
and she was on Voyager as well,
Oh.
like you mentioned. But yeah,
different thing.
yeah.
So I know we're going to get more. I feel like the most interesting part about this episode is just delving more into the psychology of the Tok'ra and the Goa'uld.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're going to get some episodes about the Unas or first hosts, but I feel like at this point, they seem just to be like a very highly evolved parasite that knows how to spread itself even more. Like I would wonder about the morality of that kind of species.
Mm-hmm.
Not very moral, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will agree, Jacko. I think you're going. They're a little too two-dimensional for to be a big bad evil villain.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not. I mean, we get a little bit better Goa'ulds coming up, but overall, they're still pretty just bad for the sake of being bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they were more interesting earlier on in the show when you knew less about them and they're more mysterious. But the more you've seen of them, they are very come across as very like comic booky.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem with any bad guys that aren't written well, because you look at any long running science fiction series and they'll have a bad guy, and the more you get to know them, look at the Borg in Star Trek, look at the Daleks or the Cybermen in Doctor Who. They just eventually they become literally one note. They do one thing. Daleks are exterminate. The Borg are you'll be assimilated, and that's
why I like the Cardassians in Deep Space Nine so much, because they're well thought out and not like a Planet of the Hats where every single one has the exact same view. They're a complex society, so I feel like that's
more
kind of the
devious
pinnacle of
exactly.
But yeah, I do like Kronos. When you see him in the vision, I just thought of like a Meatloaf music video because soft lens looking.
I would squeeze a symbiote to death, but I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I can't watch that episode again now.
Perfect.
So one thing I did like, and this is definitely, you can see kind of like Pat Powers' influence in here, was the writer, the fact that Shinnok referred to her symbiote as a child when she thought that she had, and they even like expressly have religious terminology for it. She's like, during my first communion with my symbiote.
Yeah.
And that can't have been unintentional. Refers to it as like the Kolmoth, which is like the child, and we get a lot of like Jaffa lovey-dovey talk in this episode. I can't say it like makes a difference either way with this episode or the show going forward, but it was just interesting that they put that in there.
Yeah. I also thought it was interesting that Shinnok kind of tried to make Teal'c feel guilty that he left Braytak alone. He starts this revolution and then he leaves. And poor Master Braytak is the one picking up all the pieces on Chulak. And, and how dare he not believe that she could possibly have achieved this.
Yeah.
And I mean, she really did the guilt trip pretty good on him on that one.
Now, to be fair to Teal'c, Braytak did kind of tell him, go keep fighting with SG-1. So
yeah.
Maybe the problem was he started working with the American military. So that's where he got that whole pattern from.
Yeah. Out of here.
But so you had mentioned, Lisa, that you'd looked up the alternate language titles for this episode.
Did. And the Germans did have, most of them were the same or a variation of Crossroads. But the Germans in this one called it Shinnok's Sacrifice. So
there you go.
Poetic.
Again, but giving away the the plot in the title.
And at the end, Teal'c actually refers to it when he's talking to Tanith. He says, I just want to know that Shinnok's sacrifice was not in vain. When he's trying to keep his poker face. So yeah, that's a good title. And we don't know who Shinnok is. So if you saw this come up in TV Guide, you'd be like, okay,
someone's being sacrificed.
I guess there's a character named Shinnok in here.
I don't know if this, I doubt this is the case, but if there's anybody who's familiar with German television, are there like laws that they have to name the titles something that explicitly talks about the plot? It can't be a poetic title or anything like that. It has to be, Shinnok's Sacrifice, the ship blows up, something like that,
Just lets you know what happens. I would wonder, just like culturally, like, are spoilers not as much of a thing in like German culture? I know that there is like the whole stereotype of it's very much like it's very mechanical and like here's what it is, but obviously stereotypes are just stereotypes. But I would wonder like what culture plays into the namings of episodes and how people view things being spoiled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We love all our German fans.
We do.
Yes.
You guys are great.
All. If we have any,
probably none of them.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I did want to mention. So they refer to communion with the symbiote as like a near-death experience at some point. And if you are curious about near-death experiences, you should check out Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World, episode 27, where he talks about near-death experiences. So go listen to that as soon as you are done listening to us here.
Yeah, definitely. That was a very interesting one because I had my opinions pretty well formed about that kind of stuff before, but that episode was pretty eye-opening.
Yeah.
Learned a lot of stuff I did not know. Awesome. Do y'all have any other thoughts on this episode?
Nope, nothing here.
Just that we haven't really had a resolution if Teal'c and Dryak are still married. She did mention that I hate to say this, but Stargate has kind of a history with this, that at least with Jack and his wife, they did say they were divorced, right? Or former wife.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel had some liaisons before his wife died. And then he had another liaison right after she died. And then here Teal'c is, because we see Dryak again. So, yeah. I don't know. It's just a little muddy for me.
Well, didn't they basically say that she put him away more or less? She ended the marriage or something like that when she married, what's his name?
She did say that she did something to marry the other dude. So I guess you could say she she took care of it. But I was reading that even
That's what it seemed like.
even the showrunners and stuff weren't quite sure his marital status when they did this.
Like they just kind of forgot about her.
Yeah.
Till later. Yeah.
We do have some feedback. Lukenbach Garden on YouTube commented on our episode number 57 on Pretense. I just found your podcast last week and I'm already caught up. I absolutely enjoy your analysis. One thing I want to point out is on the pronunciation of words is because Goa'uld is harder to say for some people. So they just go with it. Michael Shanks had a hard time saying Share for the movie, so they changed her name slightly to Share. I can't remember exactly how they
It
said
was
it. In the movie.
Shari.
It was like
Wasn't something more like
Mhm.
Shari or something like that?
Shirari. Shari. Yeah. No, so it's Share.
We can't even pronounce it.
Yeah, I
Just go
can't even remember
Shari.
how to say it. And they also say that if you want to do 2 episodes a week, we fans would love that. I would like to do 2 episodes a week, but
Yeah, our jobs and I'm the one who's got more flexibility because everybody else here has like families and other things that they can do, and no, we'd love to.
That would be fun.
do the Father Cory solo hour every week.
Yeah, no, don't want to do that. Now, if you would like to see our other panelists be able to do twice a week, you can contribute lots and lots of money to SQPN at sqpn.com/give.
Yeah, that's right. I've always told Dom that one of my goals is we need to just grow SQPN enough that we can all quit our jobs and just do podcasts full time.
Exactly.
nice.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of Stargate to talk about. There's a lot of Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda I'd like to talk about. So,
Yep.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can do
the
lots of
Kevin
fun
Sorbo
stuff
show
if
we
we're
do that.
yeah.
if SQPN can make us all independently wealthy thanks to your donations, then we could. Dom's gonna smack me for this. I know. it.
What's Peter Thiel doing these days? Does he like Stargate?
We can get Elon Musk to buy SQPN.
Yeah. We're really going to be in trouble though if and when a new Stargate show is launched, and then we're going to have to double up or something because we have to catch up these episodes, right? We still have all of SG-1 and Atlantis and
Father Cory knows all about
we've
that.
been doing that with both Doctor Who and Star Trek. We just do the new ones. Of course, Star Trek is making it hard because they're doing like half the year or more of new shows. So we kind of squeeze one in here and there. We've got Lower Deck starting soon, so we'll start back to new episodes again shortly.
Mhm.
But yeah, we've been doing that the whole time. Where when it's between seasons, we do the classic episodes, the older episodes.
yeah.
So we'll just have to do that here. Which MGM
Something like
make
that,
that
yeah.
happen.
Yeah. Hey, if they release a new Stargate show, we will gladly do whatever it takes, right? To keep talking about it.
We will shill for Stargate.
Right.
Oh, we will.
If they want to sponsor the podcast, we're good with that, right?
Yeah, exactly. I may even change my opinion of the Tok'ra if they do that. So
They're going to be the new
Yeah, that
stars
is a
of the
cool
new show.
There we go. They can tie that in the new series, make them the villain.
There you go.
That'll work.
There we go. Yep. So yeah, we may not be able to do 2 episodes a week, but we can talk about Stargate all week. You can join us over at our Discord at sqpn.com/discord. We have a Secrets of Stargate channel there, so we can jump on there and keep this party going. Before we go, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create Secrets of Stargate: Travis F., Joseph P., Foster A., Richard C., and Andrew C. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Stargate and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them, as Father Cory previously said, by visiting sqpn.com/give. And be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or on the SQPN YouTube channel. And you can also leave a review there or thumbs up us on YouTube. That definitely helps the algorithm boost us more. Find previous episodes of Secrets of Stargate and to send feedback, please visit sqpn.com/Stargate. And you can email us at stargate@sqpn.com or follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia or on Twitter at SQPN. And we'll be back next time when we'll be discussing the next episode of SG-1, Divide and Conquer. Until then, Father Cory, thank you for joining me and sharing the Secrets of Stargate.
Well, thanks, Jack.
And Lisa Jones, thank you as well.
Thanks, Jack.
And Victor Lambs, thank you too.
Thanks, Jack. Your father asked that I shake your hand and give Colonel O'Neill a big kiss from him. But I may have been the other way around.
One way or the other. Once again, I'm Jack Baruzzini. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Stargate on StarQuest.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?